Good evening, everybody. My name is Gelo Vito, and welcome back to another episode of the Next Man Up podcast here on the Globally Ballin Network. As you would see, ako lang mag-isa, ako lang ngayon. Wala yung partner ko si Diego. He's currently in Davao right now competing at the Kadayawan Invitational Cup sa Davao. He's representing the Davao Occidental Tigers, and I really hope na he did well doon. So, good evening, everybody. Again, welcome to the Next Man Up podcast. And last episode natin, we really had a great conversation with the program director of the UP Fighting Maroons, our Papa Bo, Coach Bo Perasol. Sobrang dami gandang insights niya in terms of the program and in terms of where he started coaching and yung journey niya as a coach and now as a program director for UP. But bago ang lahat, let's get a rundown of the Globally Ballin Network shows. We have An Eternity of Basketball, episode 142. It's Jerry Pingoy. All right. And so Who the Heck Are We? Episode 111, Donnie Geisler. You know? And of course, the Next Man Up podcast with me and Diego. Catch all episodes on YouTube, on Globally Balling YouTube and Spotify. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bells. The links are found in the show's description. So help us out. All right. And subscribe rin to our YouTube channel, Globally Ballin YouTube channel. All episodes of all our shows will be there. All right. So, syempre, I wouldn't do this show na mag-isa. Pero syempre, I have our guest co-host for tonight. One of the veteran sports journalists dito. Co-host ng An Eternity of Basketball, Sir Sid Ventura, joining me tonight in the podcast. Good evening, Sir Sid.
Yes. Good evening, Gelo. Don't adjust your settings, no. Hindi tumanda si Diego. It's just pinch hitting for Diego, who's as Gelo mentioned is in Davao right now. Parang crossover yata ito ng
Yes,
An Eternity of Basketball sa Next Man Up. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk about what were the topics tonight.
Yun, all right. Sir Sid, grabe yung ano. Let's talk about first the game 1 of the PBA Finals. That was a nail biter, Sir Sid. Grabe yung ano. TNT was leading. TNT was leading all throughout the game until that fourth quarter
San
run.
Miguel was leading.
Oh, sorry, San Miguel. Yeah, San Miguel was leading and then naging back and forth na siya. Going to the fourth quarter, what are your thoughts talaga? Initial thoughts on that game?
Well, una, so many things happened. I was there actually in Araneta covering for ESPN. So first half, we were watching. Was baseline sa media row. And biglang nagkagulo eh. I was wondering what is happening. And biglang may pumasok na naka-shades. And Jordan Clarkson pala. No, he arrived late in the first half, no? So he watched the game. And then tingin ko doon nata na-energize ang TNT kasi doon sila umabol eh. Nung nanonood si Jordan, third quarter, he watched the entire game. He watched the entire third quarter. Doon umabol ang TNT and then he left early in the fourth. Nung nawala siya, umabol na San Miguel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah. There he is. He was watching the game.
Jordan Clarkson sitting front row, you know.
Yes.
I also saw a video. He had a great conversation with
Paulo,
Mr. MVP.
MVP.
Manny Pangilinan, yes. Manny
yes.
Pangilinan at the time. Parang sinabi pa ata ni Boss MVP na, you better win that game. Pressure ata. But again, it was nice seeing Jordan Clarkson gracing the PBA Finals yesterday. And
I think it's first time to watch a PBA game live. Last time kasi wala yatang PBA noon eh.
Wala.
Hindi yata siya napadaan. But yeah, first half yesterday, Pogoy went berserk. 24 points yata in the first half, 22. But Junmar Fajardo in that first half, he did not miss a shot. 7 out of
And
7.
well,
So
that's the current. He's the current leader for best player of the conference, and I really think na if he keeps on playing that way, I think he's gonna get his seventh. I mean, seventh. Pwede nating sabihin na he's gonna get his seventh PBA
MVP.
MVP
Mm-hmm.
award. Who knows? But again, Junmar is getting back into his old form. Parang nakikita natin siya pre-injury.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's been leading the San Miguel team
Mm-hmm.
uh, into what
Finals.
is like sinas finals yung sinasabi nila na dahil nawala na yung Death 5 nila, si Junmar na lang yung naiwan and si
Yeah.
Chris Ross. Sinasabi nila na San Miguel is done, but not
Mm.
really. I really don't think that.
They're reloaded. They just reloaded with
Yeah.
new pieces around
Oh,
Junmar who have been complementing him quite well. No?
yeah.
I'd like to hear Ryan's thoughts on that later.
Oh, sige. But the biggest issue of that game was that Jason Castro game winner pull-up jumper. Initially, I thought nung tira na yon ay kala ko hindi siya magka-count eh.
Mm.
Kasi, I mean, on the slow-mo and everything, nung review yung tape, parang gahibla eh. Yun yung literal na gahibla yung laro. But eventually, they overturned, parang they
They,
counted the basket.
mm,
And I think Sir Sid, you have an explanation. We were talking about backstage. You have an explanation as to why
yes,
it was counted. Kasi nga, di ba, nakita ng ibang pictures and sa mga posts na, yeah, no, like that
0.0.
one. 0-0 trip, 0 na
Yes,
siya, pero nandun pa yung kamay, but kinounted pa rin. Ano pa explanation?
yes. Well, if you notice in this photo, the red light around the board is not yet, ano, has not lit up yet. Yun yung tinitingnan ng PBA, and
Yeah.
Deputy Commissioner Eric Castro explained this earlier today, to I think Jonas Terrado of Manila Bulletin,
Mm-hmm.
who broke that news on Twitter. Ganito kasi yan eh. The shot clock hanggang tenths of a second lang siya. But,
Oh,
but just because zero na yung tenths of a second, that doesn't mean na wala ng time. Meron pang 0.09 yan.
right.
So, hindi kasi siya 0.00 eh. 00.0 lang. If you notice yung mga FIBA shot clocks, hanggang hundredths of a second siya.
Yeah, oo nga.
Ang PBA yung ginagamit lang hanggang tenths of a second.
Hanggang
So,
tenths of a second lang. Okay.
that doesn't mean na wala ng time. Meron pang 0.09. So, when they reviewed it, and it was determined na the ball was out of his hands before the red light came on, yun yung naging basis
Yun
nila.
yung, okay. Yun pala yung explanation, no? I mean, again, to those listening and to those watching, that's the precise explanation as to why the basket counted. Kasi a lot of people were saying talaga na, hindi na count yan eh. Kasi zero na yung nakalagay sa game clock. So, what is the point of, di ba? But, kaya nga, tapos, and I've seen the interview of Junmar, nabasa ko yung article about it. Parang napaka-nonchalant lang ni Junmar about it. And, move on na tayo. That's just game one. No, I
Yes.
mean, again, the experience and yung, yung experience niya na in playing those finals game. Ang daling maka-move on sa ganyan kasi again, it's a long series. I really feel na it's
Alam mo,
gonna be a dulo yan. Hanggang game 7 yan.
hindi, alam mo, Junmar is actually one of the most chill basketball players you'll ever meet. Hindi na uminit ang ulo niyan. Kahit nung may brawl against Australia noong 2018,
Yeah.
if you remember that.
Yeah.
If you look at the footage, Junmar was just hanging back, watching things unfold. It's parang, I'm not gonna wade into that. Bahala kayo
Yeah.
dyan. Hindi ako magpapasuspend.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Ganun siya eh. So, you know, he moves on quite easily.
Yeah. So, well, again, comment down below kung ano talaga what are your real thoughts about that game winner of Jason Castro. Counted ba talaga siya or hindi? Let us know on the comment section below. And speaking of kanina, si Jordan Clarkson, let's now talk about that Gilas 13-man lineup for the Lebanon matchup this coming August 25th on Tuesday and Saudi Arabia on the 29th. Nilabas na kanina yung 13-man pool. As we all know, only 12 will play. So let's look at the breakdown of the 13-man pool. Obviously, Jordan Clarkson will be the naturalized player for
Mm-hmm.
Gilas. And Kiefer Ravena will be there. 30 Ravena, Dwight Ramos, Bobby Ray Parks. First timer, Jamie Malonzo,
Mm.
uh, Calvin Oftana, yung last minute addition nila na si Japet Aguilar. He was
Yes.
cleared kanina, or I think kanina or yesterday, sa health and safety protocols. So he's gonna be in that pool together with Scotty Thompson and another first timer, Chris Newsome, Carl
Mm-hmm.
Tamayo, the returning Kai Soto, and another first timer in Roosevelt Adams. Sir Sid, initial thoughts about this pool?
Well, my initial thought was I'm glad Japet made it because if he hadn't recovered yet from COVID in time, this would have
Yeah.
been a very small lineup, ano?
Mm.
Kasi siyempre June Mar hindi pwede. Raymond Almasan, I'm not sure if he was cut or hindi siya naka-practice.
Mm.
He also wasn't there, no? So parang ang natira na lang na big talaga kung wala si Japet would have been Kai
Kai.
Soto na lang.
It's just Kai. Yeah.
Oo. So I'm
Mm.
glad Japet made the cut ano dito sa lineup na
Yeah.
to.
But for me, I would still consider this a very, very small lineup. Considering na,
Mm.
you had your Japet Aguilar and your Kai Soto. But most of them, kahit malalaki sila, most of them play the wing position.
Mm.
And like, you have Calvin Oftana, you have Jamie Malonzo, Roosevelt Adams, even Carl Tamayo. I would say Carl Tamayo should be playing most of the time the 3 position rather than the
Mm.
4.
Mhm.
Kasi I consider Carl in the Gilas team as a tweener. Sometimes
Yeah,
can play the 4, sometimes can play the
the
3.
three. Mhm.
Diba? And again, bihira tayo makakita ng naturalized player in na wing,
Mhm.
a 2 in Jordan Clarkson. So it's most likely yung mga naturalized natin is always the big guy, a big. Diba? So we'll see how this will pan out. And Sir Sid, sino ang odd man out dyan? For me, I mean, I really think that since kailangan nga natin ng height, I would still consider Japet.
Mm.
But if you're gonna look at the positions and the need, I think Calvin of Tana should be the reserve for this window. Thoughts, Sir
Uh,
Sid?
I'm leaning towards maybe Roosevelt Adams. He hasn't played in a long time.
Oh
We don't
yeah,
know
that's
what
true.
shape
What he
he's
can
in,
deliver. What
di
he can
ba?
deliver. That's true.
And he's very intriguing. He has got the length, the
Yeah.
athleticism, but he didn't exactly make waves during his own lone PBA season.
Long PBA season, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's true.
So intriguing siya yung skill sets niya.
Mm.
But if you just base it on that, the basketball condition, maybe
Mm.
Roosevelt is it's on the
Yeah.
bubble.
Yeah, that's right. Ako, I'm very excited for Chris Newsome.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a great PBA season, leading that Meralco Balls team into a semi-final finish. Game 7 pa against San Miguel.
San
Diba?
Miguel.
I've already talked about Chris Newsome dito sa show. I see him as a great on-ball defender,
Mm-hmm.
a great on-ball defender, and yan ang kailangan. I think it's a need for Gilas right now. Lalo na medyo small ball nga tayo. We're trying to push the tempo, try to pressure full court. I think Chris is gonna be a great addition if ever he makes the cut.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I think he will. I think he will.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
alam ko Coach Chot has been a big fan of his ever since. Bago pa
yeah,
nag-Ateneo yan, I think Coach
mm,
Chot helped recruit
yeah,
Chris for Atenean. So he
mm,
knows Chris's game. Like you can
yeah,
just imagine, a trio of Jordan Clarkson, Chris Newsome, and Ray Parks
yeah.
pressuring the
Oh,
ball handlers. Diba?
iba yun, ibang klase yun. So, we'll see. Lebanon has very, very great guards, lalo na yung probably considering the best point guard in Asia
Arak,
right now. Si Arakji.
Arak
Wael
G, yeah.
Arakji. So let's see if they consider Chris Newsom and syempre si Kai. I'm really excited to see Kai right after that NBA draft process niya, ano yung nangyari sa kanya. I think he's been training with Adelaide 36ers again back
Mhm.
in Australia. So for sure he's gonna be in the lineup and sana yung experience niya during that NBA draft process he
Correct.
can bring in to the Gilas program. And yun, that's your Gilas lineup. We wish them the best of luck this coming fourth window of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. And yeah, so
Yeah.
let's talk about the Gilas youth naman. Currently, they're playing
Hmm.
against Qatar. This is their second game of the under 18 youth tournament in Tehran, Iran.
Yeah. Right now, I think they're up 70-53. They finally pulled away
Yep.
in the second half, so well on their way to the second win. Yeah, and you know a lot of players from this team,
Yes.
right, Jella?
Consider yeah. Most of them are high school standouts pre-pandemic. Uh, their head coach, the current head coach is the son of Coach Chot Reyes, Coach Josh Reyes, together with assistant coach Gilbert Lau, JB Season, and Rob
Mhm.
Labagala. And meron isa
Oh,
dito.
is that Rob Balabaga? Oh, siya pala yun.
Yeah, it's Rob Labagala. Rob
Okay.
Labagala is part of the
Oh,
staff. Oh,
name
so
I haven't heard in a long time. Ano?
mm, so So yeah, I know a few of them. Kilala ko yan kasi three of them were my former players sa Las Alagrinos, namely
Mhm.
Joshua Coronel, Luis Pablo, and Seven Gagate. All of them are, and I think grade 11 or grade 12 this coming school year. Meron din ring dalawang college commit in Mer Prince Alaw and Abadam. They both committed to the De La Salle Green Archers. And nandyan din si Jared Bahay, who was also part of the under 16
Mhm.
youth
Yeah.
team, yung previous na under 16 youth team. And yeah, they're a very very promising team.
Yeah.
Nandiyan din pala yung kapatid ni Chris Porter.
Yeah.
The younger brother of Chris Porter is there. Again, this team is very, very promising. They can, and seriously, I think they're sa buong tournament, 10 lang sila, minus New Zealand and
Yes.
Australia. So,
Yeah.
so chances are na they
I
might,
yeah, I think
yeah,
with this impending win over Qatar,
yeah,
pasok na silang quarterfinals.
yep,
Pero dahil 10 lang yung ano teams and only two will fall by the wayside,
mm,
it will be like a special draw to determine the quarterfinal
oh,
pairings.
right,
May mga pat
yung
na
mga pat,
naman
yeah,
daw, ganon. So,
mm,
basta ka-group mo, hindi mo pwedeng
yes,
makalaban sa quarterfinals. You have to make
right,
sure of that.
mm,
So, pero yung natira mga wala nga Australia sa New Zealand, pero
yeah,
yung mga natira, matitindi pa rin, no? China, Iran, Lebanon,
yeah,
Chinese Taipei, Korea, Japan.
Korea,
No?
yeah,
So, toss up lahat yun,
yep,
stage. But if we win, if Gilas Youth wins in the quarterfinals, they will book their ticket to the World Under 23
world,
next year,
yes,
no? So, the last time we
oh,
qualified for that, ano pa? Well, the last one pala, qualified sila kay Soto.
yes.
2018, no?
2018, yes,
Mm.
2018, that's in Argentina. Ang head coach niyan was Coach Sandy Arespochaga.
Mm.
The time sila, ano yan, ngayon, most of them are in college right now. RC Kalimag, UP, James Spencer was also there. And
Fortea and
Terence
ano nga
Fertea,
to?
yeah.
The guy from Pointer na Ateneo.
Si Forsky
Yeah,
Padrigao.
Forsky
Forsky
Padrigao,
Padrigao was
yeah.
there.
Uh-huh.
Yun,
Dalf,
so,
Dalf, Dalf Panopio rin yata.
yeah, Dalf Panopio. AJ Edu,
Uh,
tama?
Gio
AJ Edu.
Chu, yeah, Gio
Gio
Chu
Chu, yeah.
also.
Yun,
So,
so,
yeah, this tournament as breeding ground ito ng future stars, di
yes.
ba? This is
Totoo.
where
And
you first make your mark.
totoo yan. And looking back at the previous Gilas Youth lineups, that developed the likes of Kiefer Ravena, Jeron Teng,
Mhm.
Troy Rosario,
Yes.
JJ Alejandro, Arvin Tolentino, Gelo Vito.
Yun, kailangan mo isingit yun.
Syempre. But yeah, it's a great breeding ground. It's a great stepping stone. And syempre, hindi natin pwedeng kalimutan i-mention si Diego Dario. Diego Dario was
Of
part of
course.
the first ever RP Youth World Cup team back in 2014. Yun. He played against Jason Tatum, the United
Yep.
States at the time. Diba? And again, I was talking to Diego a few days back about yung stint niya nga sa Gilas Youth. Until now, he's playing professionally. Yung experience na nadadala niya daw until now. And
Mm.
that is something that these kids would really have and would really carry on as they move on along with their along their careers, 'di ba? I mean, yung experience niyan competing internationally, once in a lifetime experience yan, and to represent the country, ibang klase talaga.
Yeah.
So
Well,
good luck. Yeah.
I'm just glad lang na, the program is up and running kasi alam mo, dati no 80s, nung 90s palalo parang pahirapan yan na
Yeah.
maghanap ng player
Yeah.
na under 18. Hirap na hirap
Oo.
ang BAP noon BAP
Yeah.
Pero ngayon, at least nandiyan na and you can see the results.
And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, the last under 18, ABC pa nun, di ba? Asian Basketball Confederation pa yun, di ba?
Asian youth.
Asian Youth, di ba? Ang last ano yung parang, I don't know if totoo tayo, parang they're not really youth.
Hindi.
Di ba? They brought in
80s,
much older. 80 something yun 80s yun
86 actually, and then
yeah.
the parang I think nine players resigned because
wow.
Headed no una si Jericho Diniera, he said no, I'll already be 20 when the tournament starts, so I cannot play here. He said that publicly.
Yeah.
So after that nag-resign na isa. So Coach Jolie pa had to come up with a new team in just 3 months.
Wow.
No? Pero nag-second place sila. Yeah, sinani yung Benji Paras, Coach Joey Guanyo, Jun Reyes.
Yung mga UP boys niya pala yun. Most of them, mga UP boys
Yeah, most
niya.
of them. Jun Reyes, Eric Reyes, Dicky Bachman. Yun yung mga Nelson Aceitono, Bong Alvarez. Yun yung team na yun. Zaldiria Lubi.
Lahat yun. Most of them, mga Hall of Famers na ngayon. So, again, ang gagaling niya nung nag-PBA na sila. And again, sky's the limit for this team. We really wish them the best in this tournament. I hope they qualify, and I think they will qualify for the World Cup and a much higher competition. And moving forward, ito, yung guest natin tonight is not the usual guest that we have dito sa podcast, sa Next Man Up podcast. Because usually we guest basketball players, coaches. Pero ito, this is something that is new. I think for everyone, even for me. We're gonna guest a statistician, an analytics guy of basketball. He's the in-house statistician for Smart Sports and the Tiebreaker Times. And if nakikita niyo sa Twitter, if madalas tong nakikita sa Twitter to, talking about basketball, mga sets, breaking down of plays, numbers. I'm not really a fan of numbers and math and stats, but he made it enjoyable for everyone, and we're happy to have him here. Let's bring in Sir Ryan Alba of Tiebreaker Times. Good evening, Ryan.
Good evening.
How are you,
good
man?
evening. I'm fine.
Yun. All right. Ryan, thank you so much. No, parang kinakabahan. First time mo
kinakabahan ka
yata. Then.
Alright. Yun. So, Ryan, thank you so much for your time dito sa Next Man Up podcast, and we're really excited to talk about what you do kasi it's very very interesting, lalo na sa akin kasi I've been playing and I've been coaching, and ngayon lang ako nakakita ng tao that would literally break down every bit of action in the basketball of a basketball game through numbers and analytics. Right? So, pero let's start muna. How did you get into this? Really?
I started 2013 actually.
Wow.
I was in college. I was just bored. Naghihintay magsimba yung class. So I decided to pull up, ano bang season nung 2013? Ng
Season
UAAP.
76. Season 76
Yeah,
yun.
I just started to play around a little and I kept doing that until nung pandemic. Before pandemic is just for me, private lang. But then I lost all of my files and I was really bored kasi law school took a 2-3 month break. I had nothing to do. So I
Yeah.
decided to like publish stuff through the website of a friend, started writing stuff, and yeah, now we're here.
So, you're really like diehard basketball basketball junkie na
Yeah.
to a point na you would really crunch in numbers. Kasi ako only learned about analytics and statistics when I was in college. Actually final year ko in the UAAP, parang may mga websites or like mga accounts who would break down the game via numbers or scouting. Usually sa scouting yan eh. Usually sa scouting talaga ginagawa ang numbers or analytics. Um, ano ba yung kailangan maintindihan ng tao? Kasi usually when they look at people, when regular people, they just look at stats. They only see points, rebounds, steals, assists, field goals, and that's it. Like, ano yung kailangan maintindihan ng tao about the mismong
Analytics.
statistics, the analytics and the stats?
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two things there. Una, yung points, rebounds, assist, kulang eh. Either misrepresented yung player. For example, kung onti yung steals and blocks mo, or kung madami, hindi sabihin magaling or hindi ka marunong dumepensa. So you have to go beyond that. And second, na film and stats, they're not two different things. They go hand in hand. They
Mhm.
work super well together. Kasi, kung manood ka ng film, you won't remember everything naman eh. Sa isang basketball game, there's like 80 to 100 possessions. Maalala mo ba lahat ng ginawa ng 10 players support every single time? And that's where stats helps. Kasi at least doon may kita kahit paano yung contribution nila, yung impact nila on the floor. Even though you can't remember everything they did in the 40 or 48 minutes of the game.
Okay. I have a question lang, Ryan. The raw data, how do you get that?
Uh, yung PBA.com mismo. And then I just transform it with my own like
Yeah,
formulas
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, I also get a copy of those stats over every game. But how do you like? So you have your own formula to like
Yep.
compute it into deeper stats like yung tinatawag na true shooting
Yep.
percentage,
Yep.
or actually hanggang ngayon hindi ko pa rin maintindihan yun eh.
Uh,
Yung true
Pwede
shooting
natin
percentage na yun.
pag-usapan yun.
Oo, yun. Yung pag ganon, ikaw na yun, you get the raw data and you use your own formulas for that.
Yep.
Or do you
Yep.
you also watch film pa?
I also watch a lot of film. Like,
Okay.
if you've read most of my articles, they're mostly 80% film supplemented lang by numbers.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, kasi ako, when I was in UP, they they have this software. May mga software yan, di ba? Mostly may mga software sila na ginagamit na, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's also a software na
Huddle,
ginagamit, yun, na ginagamit ng NBA teams and professional teams in,
synergy, yeah.
oh, yeah, and college teams in the US NCAA, they use that as to mga metrics and all of that to look into player performance, di ba? So, do you use that? Do you have that or
Yeah,
talagang mano-mano mo
meron
siyang
ako.
compute?
Yung stats ko kalahati, mano-mano.
Okay.
Not really mano-mano. Basically, kunin ko lang yung sa PBA, just input it, and nandun na. Pero kalahati, I use a parang scouting service na rin. Um, so I can just pull up clips, like pull out like, for example, every single type of shot a player had, every single isolation play, every single pick and roll. I have access to that in the PBA UAP.
Wow. So, you really have to watch the film and talagang
Yeah.
i-breakdown mo siya isa-isa.
Yep. Parang
Wow.
ano siya eh. Parang you can't really have one without the other in my opinion kasi kung puro numbers ka lang, paano niya kinukuha yung numbers na to? How does he get the points? Kung madaming rebounds, does he actually box out? Or sadyang matangkad at napupulot lang niya yung talbog swerte? Ganun.
Hmm. Pero Ryan, in the States, medyo mature
Yeah.
industry na ito, no? I mean, most professional teams, they have their in-house data guys na talagang it's really part of the culture there.
Yeah.
Pero dito sa Philippines, I suspect hindi pa, no? Masyado. Um,
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
Meron na rin. I mean,
Um,
there are teams ba who use a lot of advanced metrics na?
um, alam ko there's one team in the PBA and one team in the UAAP that uses the same software I use. Um, kaya kaya may access ako because they use it, and since I also use it, I get similar access pero to a lesser degree. And alam ko Ateneo, for example, they subscribe to Huddle, I think.
Huddle, yeah.
So so hindi blanco yung Pilipinas, may mga team nang gumagamit.
But would you
Okay.
say na, sorry, sir, but would you say na uh, yung state ng data analytics, so lalo na sa basketball, is up there or medyo mababa pa talaga yung knowledge ng tao about it?
Um, I think na madaming hindi pa talaga familiar eh.
Hmm.
Kasi like some of the stats I use yung mga true shooting, mga plus minus, stuff like that. Already become basic abroad na every journalist in ESPN, for example, knows how to use that.
Hmm.
Every coach has like their own private database of their players. So parang dito, iilan pa lang. Pero at least it's here. I know there are other places na wala talaga or wala talagang interest sa ganitong bagay.
Well, the product is there pero ano ba, may resistance ba sa basketball community to use these or
I'm I ha-
natatakot lang or
I haven't I have talked to one or two PBA coaches na interested naman sila, and they've asked me like ano ibig sabihin na to, ano yung use nito, and like a lot of them are open, I guess, but it's still, I guess, relatively new, so there's obviously pushback na hindi naman natin kailangan to eh. Ang tagal na nating nagba-basketball, hindi naman natin ginagamit to, okay tayo. So why do we need this?
Right.
Mm, yep. Yeah, expected naman na may initial resistance to change
Yeah.
kumbaga ano.
Yeah.
True.
So malayo pa tayo sa tipong magtatayo ka ng tipong cleaning the glass o second spectrum dito, no? Malayo pa yan.
And hindi ko rin naman kaya yun eh. Above my pay grade na yun eh.
Yeah, yun Ryan, kasi ako, when I remember when I was playing with Coach Bo, meron siyang tatlong sinabi sa amin no na the highest percentage shots in a basketball game. Tatlo daw. The first is obviously a layup. The second is the free throw. And for some reason, the third one is the corner three. And yung
Yeah, the corner
pinakamababa, yung pinakamababa daw na percentage is the mid-range jumper or the pull-up jumper.
Uh-huh.
Anything like 3 feet or 2 feet below the 3-point line is already a low percentage shot. Bakit ganun? Why is it like that?
First lang, una depende sa player.
Oo.
For example, kung ikaw si Kevin Durant and you can shoot 50% on your mid-range shots, take as many as you want. Kasi, pero yun, yung layup kasi, it's 60% yun. So, mga 1.2 points per possession. Sa free throw, sabihin mo ng 70%. So, pag dalawang free throw, 1.4 points on average yun. Tas yung corner 3, let's say you hit it at 40% or sabihin natin 36%, and that's 1.08 points per possession yung corner 3. So, what does a player shoot sa long 2? Say 40% for example. So, that's 0.8 points per possession. That means na generally, since corner 3s are open, since the defense is more concerned with the middle, the corner 3 is an easier shot even if it's longer. Plus, 3 points is more than 2 points.
Right.
Kasi when you think of long 2s, when do you usually take long 2s? After pick and roll, contested, generally, these aren't the best shots You won't win a game if these are the shots that you want to shoot, unless you're DeMar DeRozan or Kevin Durant, that type of shooter. Kasi it all depends on, a good shot for me is contextual kasi. Depende sa player. So for example, you don't want a guy like, if you remember him, Eric Snow from the Sixers dati.
Yeah.
You don't want him shooting 17, 20 footers, but you would want an elite scorer to shoot that same shot. It's all depending on the player's capability naman. And
Okay.
so yung sinasabi na the two-pointer is dead, it's not really true. If you can make the two-pointer, shoot it anytime you want. It's just bad players shooting bad shots is not a thing anymore, at least in the NBA.
Okay. Alright. Kasi, di ba, as the years went by, as the game progressed, a lot of players, parang ano na kasi, di ba, we would all consider na basketball right now is a possessionless basketball. Anybody can shoot the three, anybody can drive, penetrate, kick out, take the three. But if you're gonna consider, let's say, the Warriors, most of them, kasi ito yung parang sila yung pivotal point of yung transition nga from mga twos and to like dominantly na three-pointers, di ba? So, paano naging successful yung ganong thinking or the way of play? Na parang, sige, let's just take three-pointers. The more threes we take, the more chances of tayo mananalo. Bakit ganun? Why is it like that?
Because kasi, ito yung thing, spacing is the most important aspect of that. So imagine you have 5 guys outside, kasi lahat kailangan mo bantayan eh. So a 40% shooter from 3 when he's open, that's the same as a regular layup at the half court. So if you leave a guy open from 3, parang tumitiran lang ng layup yun kung tutuusin. Kasi, so that means the floor is more spaced out, you're pulling them outside. Yung mga malaki, wala sa ilalim, hindi naghihintay para supalin yung layup mo. That means you're also more free to drive inside. And here's an interesting fact about the Warriors. If you recall yung death squad nila, yung with KD, they were the best mid-range shooting team in the league.
Wow.
Like, because the mid-range was open, because the teams were selling hard on the threes, one dribble pull-up, easy.
Yeah. Lumuwag yung gitna.
Grabe. Nice.
Fascinating lang.
Very interesting. Kasi ako, maybe probably Sir Sid din. Kasi pag titingin ka ng stat sheet, titingnan mo lang naman kung sino pinakamaraming nakascore. Sino pinakamaraming rebound. Usually it's just like that eh. But what is the most advanced stat na nakita mo na, uy, parang ang weird naman ito, but totoo, parang, totoo siya. Bakit ganun? Ano yung pinaka-advanced na stat na nakita mo na parang na-weirdohan ka, pero that's true, totoo yan na ganyan.
Like the weirdest stat?
The
For
weirdest
example,
stat.
Vic Manuel, for example, like, he's the most, parang kung tutusin per minute, he's the best scorer in the PBA by far. Like, he scores 11 points in 16 minutes. So, kung tutuusin mo, gawin mong 32 minutes yun, that's 22 points. So, yung per minute scoring niya, like, higher than Mikey, higher than Junmar. Pero, kung titignan mo yung, like, impact metrics niya, like, if you're familiar with yung mga one-number metrics, yung mga BPM, LeBron, like, that type of advanced stats, they try to measure yung contribution or yung impact ng players sa floor. And Vic Manuel, despite being one of the best scorers in the PBA, his impact is medyo tagilid. And if you look at the film then, you can see why. Because of the shots he takes, like post ISOs, the team's offense doesn't really do well with him on, despite him getting his numbers.
Yeah.
And that's a very common thing, I guess, in the NBA, where kahit yung volume scoring mo mataas, yung impact mo hindi masyado ramdam. And that's one of the things na I think the PBA or Philippine basketball in general should consider, na scoring a lot of points isn't necessarily a good thing all the time.
It's a quality of points din. Parang ganun.
And
Yeah.
how you help your teammates on the floor score din. Kasi, for example, Alain Maliksi right now, in terms of plus minus, he's one of the top players. Like when he's on, Meralco is one of the best teams in the league. When he's off, they're either tabla lang or they're losing. And you can see why, kasi the threat of his shot, he can get a shot from 3 off the screen. You have to chase him around. You have to give him attention. And that opens up a lot for everyone else. When you can score in a way that helps your teammates too, that's where value lies. That's where you can say a player is impactful on the offensive end of the floor.
Okay. Agad question lang. Are you also into those stats na nababasa ko minsan on ESPN na if player A and player B are on the court together, they outscore Yung mga ganon. Yung stats mo ba run that deep?
Yes, they do. Like, I have like one interesting thing about that. Mikey Williams, Jason Castro. 9 out of the TNT's 10 best lineups, they're on the floor together. Like, and their top 5 best lineups, nandun si Castro pati si Mikey together. And it makes sense when you watch the film kasi Mikey is like the ultimate give it to him, let him work, he'll get a shot guy. And Jason Castro on the wing, as soon as ma-rotate yung ball sa kanya, ma-reversal mo sa kanya, tilted na yung depensa kasi lahat nakafocus kay Mikey. Pag binol reversal mo to the other wing, Castro has a relatively open lane, and what are you gonna do with Jason Castro running to the rim?
Sa UAAP, sino yung ganun? Sa UAAP, sino yung ganun?
Ange Kwame. Like, ano siya, plus 24 yung on and off niya. So Ateneo's better by 24 points when he's on. The closest other Atenean is 17, which is still pretty high, but massive yung gap. Like, you can na-confirm nung stats yung nakita mo sa mata na iba yung Ateneo pag nandun si Kwame.
Wow.
So, okay, my next question as a rejoinder to that, how do you measure that? Talagang pinapanood mo lahat ng
No. Yung software na yun. Hindi ako ganun ka-addict.
So how does the software determine that? I mean,
kasi yung play-by-play data. You can see who's on and off, and they can just like run the score from, for example, from 10 minutes to 7 minutes. Ito yung 5 nasa loob. They won by 3. Parang ganun.
Wow. Solid. Grabe, ako, dito pa lang sa interview with you, I'm learning so much about analytics and stats. Like, kasi again, nakikita ko lang talaga when I'm playing is that stat sheet, may points, may rebounds, may feature. Kasi ako personally, I feel bad when I shoot the ball below 40%. Sa field goal. Ang baba. For me, ang baba nun. Pero pag sinabi nila na, if you're above at least 40%, okay na yun kasi may depensa. May depensa naman kasi kaya ganyan. Pero anything below that, parang sumasama yung loob ko na parang hindi ako efficient. I feel na I'm not that as efficient inside the court, diba? Usually ganun eh. Pero if, ako, as an athlete, as someone who's really looking at the stats as a metric to see kung gaano ako kagaling maglaro, anong sasabihin mo sa akin pag nakakita ako na, ang pangit ng shooting percentage ko, parang hindi ata ako naging effective. What would you say to make me feel better about it?
Binabantayan ka ba, for example? Kasi kung binabantayan ka, tas you were missing shots, that means you were drawing the defense's attention, and that means your teammates were more open because of you, even if you were missing. And if I recall correctly, you had like a great game in UP. You were a great passer. You had almost triple-double ba yun? Yung isang laro mo?
May isang game ako, parang may isa or 2 games ako na, I call it a triple single.
Triple single. Yeah, like that type of thing na as long as you're there on the court, kahit hindi ka nakaka-shoot, as long as you're drawing attention, you're helping your teammates score, then it's fine. And a great example of this is yung Steph Curry's game in Davidson. There was a game na dinoble team lang siya buong laro. As in, sa corner, nakatayo lang siya, dalawang tao, double team siya, wala siyang ginagawa. So what he did for the game was, he just sat there in the corner, didn't ask for the ball, didn't touch the ball, and his team blew the other team out by 30. And
Wow.
that's because you, even if you're not making shots or even taking them, as long as you're a threat to score, you're helping your team.
Wow. Wow. Solid. Ang galing. Me ako, I've never considered it like I mean, I've never considered stats na would really make a huge impact on today's game. But Ryan, now let's talk about the kasi ikaw, I've seen your Twitter page. I've seen you're so into it in terms of the Gilas program, the Gilas team. So I wanna know your thoughts about the 13-man pool na magko-compete for the fourth window. What are your initial thoughts about it?
Honestly, I like the team. Um, it they check a lot of boxes kasi first you have size there at least compared to dati. Kai
Mhm.
and Japeth are a huge step up in the right direction in terms of
Mhm.
rim protection. Thus, there's a lot of guys who can create for others, who can do stuff with the ball. And si
Yeah.
Kiefer, si Dwight, si BRP, like a lot of them, hindi mo pwedeng iwanan lang sa tabi kasi as soon as they get the ball, they can do something with it.
Mhm.
And there's decent amount of shooting now on the team at least. Lalo na if you play Malonzo at the small ball four, he can shoot a little bit.
Mhm.
And si Carl nandun. So we have shooting from our quote-unquote bigs. And we have Adams, Oftana, BRP who are all like great shooters. So it's definitely a good team and they can compete with Lebanon.
All right.
Yeah, very
Solid.
intriguing. Yeah, intriguing
Yeah.
lineup yan. Like I said.
Mhm. All right. So again, Ryan, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking
Mhm.
to you about statistics, talking about analytics and stats. I mean, again, maraming aming natutunan ni Sir Sid from
Yeah.
you. And again, we look forward to guesting you again in our show and to talk about other things, lalo na UAAP is coming up. And
Yep.
ayun, for sure, marami tayong pwedeng pag-usapan in terms of analytics, lalo na sa UAAP and the NCAA. Again, Ryan, thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us in the show. We hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you guys then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank
Thanks,
you, thank you.
Ryan. The
Thank you, Ryan.
Kevin
Thank you.
Pelton. The Kevin Pelton of the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Grabe. Alright. Grabe yun, Sir Sid. Ako, ang dami
Mm.
kong natutunan. Ibang klase. Ibang klaseng discussion. Napaka-interesting.
Pag nagbabasa kasi ako ng mga articles nun, siyempre I couldn't understand half of
Mm-mm.
the stats being
Yeah.
talked about. Ano? Pero in the back of my mind, I'd be wondering, paano kaya nila kinocompute mga stats na to? Di ba? I mean,
Yeah,
di
oo
ba?
nga eh.
Parang sabi ko, talagang, do they have people in a room watching all of these games? Tapos
Mm-mm.
they take notes. Ayun.
Yeah.
Software pala.
Na may software nga siya. Ako, I was kind of introduced to that software 2019 na eh. I mean, 2019. And it's not really out there per
Mhm.
se. But I think the first PBA team, if I'm not mistaken, the first PBA team who used that was Alaska. Alaska, I
Yeah,
think,
parang,
was the first team. Alaska was the first team who used, I think, Huddle ata yung gamit nila noon. That software na ipa-plug in mo lang yung the entire game and then it will crunch numbers for you. Parang ganun yung main
grabe.
concept niya eh. Oh, ganun yung main concept noon. So yeah, very interesting topic, very interesting
Mm.
conversation with Ryan. Sana mapag-guest natin siya ulit
Yeah.
this time, next time. Yeah. So that's it. That's a great Monday night episode. Siyempre together. It's an honor, Sir Sid.
Yeah.
And I think Sir Sid, do you have something to talk about?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to, offer my condolences to the family of a sports media colleague, si Sir Peter Paul Patrick Lucas, who unfortunately passed away earlier today. He had been hospitalized for several weeks, and actually he had just lost his wife then, ano. So, well, at least they're now together. Pero si Sir Peter he was one of the good guys. He was always on the lookout for you if you were a younger reporter, lalo na pag overseas kayo. You know, I first met him 2011. We were at the SEA Games, and nasira yung digital cam ko. No? Alam niyo yung mga maliliit dati, wala pang cellphone, ano na, nasira, and he graciously lent me his digital, ano, para kunan ng picture yung, ano, yung basketball team because he just won the gold medal. So he was that kind of guy, and he, he will be missed. Uh, Again, condolences to the family of Sir Peter Paul, Patrick Lucas. Do we have a photo? I sent a photo to Aaron
I think
on
we
the,
have a photo of them, of
yeah, this
him.
one too,
Yes.
with me.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, photo number 30, please, Carla. Show that now.
Yeah. Ooh,
Uh,
but
uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There
there.
you
Yeah,
go. There you
yeah.
go.
This is at the NAIA Terminal 1 yan, 2017. That's Sir Peter in the middle wearing the, Philippine
Philippines.
jacket. That
That
one
was, I think, that 2017 Sea Games,
SEA Games. So daming
Sea
ano
Games,
yan, Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The other fellow in the photo, of course, is Ventura of
Sir
spin.
Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we share the same flight to. So yeah, Sir Peter, you will be missed. At least now you're with your wife, and rest in power, sir.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Lucas family, and condolences to the mga naiwan ni
Yes.
Sir Lucas. All right. Uh, Again, Sir Sid, maraming salamat for covering for Jego tonight. It's an honor to share this podcast with you tonight.
Anytime, anytime.
Sana maulit-ulit. Syempre, sana kasama na si Jego with us, and hopefully na makagawa tayo ng isa pang episode with
It was my
you.
pleasure. It was my pleasure. I had a blast tonight.
Yes. All right. Again, my name is Gelo Vito. Again, catch us on all our social medias and on Instagram, Next Man Up GB, on Facebook, Globally Ballin Southeast Asia, on Twitter, Globally Ballin, and on YouTube also. All right, this has been Gelo Vito and Sir Sid Ventura. Good night, everyone.